feel like you could probably just title this video, I Eat Crow for 10 minutes. So I just saw Toy Story 5, and for a quick little recap of what I think of the rest of the franchise, I really like all these movies. Hell, I love most of these movies. Um, if just for a quick, I guess to quickly just say order, I think they're the worst to best, really quick, excluding 5. 2 is the weakest. It's still very good. I really like it. I just think it's probably the most inconsequential of the series. Like, excluding, of course, the one scene that everyone remembers from 2, the Jesse's backstory. But outside of that, I would say kind of feels the most like just another Toy Story movie. But still really good, just feels like kind of just another one. Next is 1, the one that started it all. Obviously, it's a story we've kind of seen before, but it's just told in a really charming, really well told way. And yeah, the animation has not aged well in any way, but like it's literally the first entirely computer animated film. You can cut them some slack in that regard. Next is 4, and I know that this movie has kind of had differing opinions since it came out. Like, I feel like when it first came out, the majority really liked it, and a minority of people didn't. And then for a while, it felt like a majority of people did not like it, thought it was unnecessary, and the minority were the ones who really liked it. I'm not sure where we stand on it now, but I've always really loved Toy Story 4. I thought it was a really good epilogue to the whole saga. I thought it actually felt like a necessary story to be. It justified its own existence, and I really liked some of the things it did that were controversial. I liked, and it has some of my favorite characters in the franchise. But yeah, and 3 easily the best the whole franchise. Nothing's beaten it. It's my favorite Pixar film. It's done very well. I'm always engaged every time I watch it. It's really funny. I guess I forgot to mention that all the Toy Story movies I think are really funny. And just it's a really good, well, I guess no longer, but at the time, finale and send off to all these characters that we've known for so long. And now we have Toy Story 5. Now I feel like pretty much everybody when this was announced really was annoyed that they were continuing these movies. Like, you already rocked the perfect conclusion you had to bring it back once, and that really worked. Not for everyone, but it really worked for me at least, and definitely some other people. Definitely for Pixar's shareholders, but people were like, okay, you get the one. I feel like a majority of people were like, okay, you get this one, but don't do it again. And then they did it again, and people were like, we're seriously gonna have now we have 2 movies that were supposed to end this franchise, and now we have another one that's continuing after it already ended. I feel like a lot of people are really annoyed by that. I was kind of with them. I was like, yeah, do we really need a 5th one now? The trailers finally started coming out. It looked fine. It looked okay, this could be all right. But I still decided I would go ahead and check it out just because, you know what? Nah, why not? It's like they haven't made a bad movie yet. So I was like, okay, what the heck? I'll go ahead and check this one out too. Now that I've finally seen it, yeah, I was totally wrong. This one was also a really good movie and a really good installment in the franchise. It again does a good job of making you look at a franchise that you think should have stopped but justifies continuing. It's amazing how they just keep doing this. In terms of where I'd rank it with all the others, really quick, I'd say I'd slot it between 1 and 2. So now it's 3, 4, 1, 5, 2. Like, again, if you know how much I love Toy Stories 3, 4, and 1, that is not an insult at all. Like, those are some of my favorite Pixar films. So putting this between 1 and 2 is not in any way saying I don't like this, because, again, I really did. There's like I'm trying to think of how to talk about the movie because there's basically 3 different kind of different things going on at once. 2 of them I think are really good and I absolutely love them. The third one is good. Kind of feels like it wastes a little bit of time, but like it's not terrible. It's still not terrible. It's still not bad in any way. I still like that third, but it's just out of the three, it is the one I was like, oh, we're coming back to this. Okay. I guess I'll just say first of all the generals. The movie's really funny. The Toy Story movies have always done a great job of mixing humor and emotions. This one's no different. It's really funny. It has some really good dramatic moments. The animation is really good. I like how they sort of shift to a different animation style we haven't seen in this franchise whenever we go into like playtime. I think that was a really cool decision they made. There are a couple of times that the animation looks a little off. I'm not saying they used AI. I'm not saying that, but it does look a little uncanny in a couple shots, particularly this one where like these three girls are all using the lily pads, and then they kind of look up at Bonnie. They looked a little weird. I don't know. It's just not saying it's AI. Again, just want to get that out there. Just it looked a little off. And yeah, I think the only other real complaint, the only like close thing I have to like a major complaint is the score by Randy Newman. I would say this one is probably the weakest of all of the scores for these movies, because this one is the one where they're really relying on just Randy Newman playing the same music he's already written for the other for the other, I guess really first three movies. Pretty realistically is more like it. Um, and I did like the theme he wrote for the rogue buzzes that are running around, but outside of that, the rest of the music just kind of feels like this just feels like the exact same score as one through three. Nothing really. We're not reinventing the wheel in any way here. But okay, with that being said, I guess we'll get to the different plots this movie has, and let's start with the one of all the buzzes, because I actually really like these guys. Like from their first scene, I was like, okay, I am really liking all of them. I like the way they all kind of work together as like a hive mind, almost like a bunch of ants working together. I like the way that they at first they act differently from the way Buzz acted in the first film. Like they're not right away kind of cognizant of the world around them. They stay silent for a bit until eventually they just sort of see the stars, and they're reminded of Star Command, and that's when they get their mission, their drive. I like how they address that Buzz wouldn't know that he has to freeze in front of the humans. Like there's a scene where they're like sneaking around these docks and they stumble across a human and they all just freeze and they all just like drop and be toys. And then after the human leaves, they're just like, why do we do that? I don't know. Like, I do like that they actually addressed that because like everyone was kind of wondering. I feel like everyone kind of at least jokes how in the first film Buzz, even though he doesn't think he's a toy, just freezes in front of Andy, and you kind of wonder why is he doing that though. And this one, so maybe it is just kind of innate with toys, even if you don't know you're a toy. It's like instinct. That's a pretty cool thing they did. I like they kind of mimic Buzz's storyline from the first film of learning to accept that you're a toy, but they still tell it in a different way, and I really like that. And yeah, and honestly, I would have been cool if the whole movie was just about these buzzes, not gonna lie. Like, I was really engaged whenever they were on screen. I was like, honestly, you could just, and like, especially this one scene close to the end of the movie. I won't spoil it, but like, there's a thing that happens with all the buzzes. It's 100% just like aura farming. I don't care. It looks so cool, and I was just looking at it like, kind of with my jaw dropped, like this is awesome. I love this. Honestly, like you could give these buzzes their own spin-off movie or even a spin-off show. I'd 100% watch it. This is a Lightyear movie I'd actually pay to see in the theaters. Yeah, I guess that's all I can really say about them. It's not, I guess it's like they don't contribute a ton to the overall plot of the movie. Like in the end, they kind of just contribute one thing to the main story, and even then, it's like you have to accept some massive coincidences for like them to like end up the place where they end up in the third act. Like it is a massive amount of luck, but it's not like these movies have ever not like relied on luck for their plots to work. So I guess it's not that big of a deal. Other plot. Now for the other really good plot, Jesse's. Like everyone kind of says how same way Toy Story 4 is basically Woody's movie, this one is basically Jesse's movie. I agree, and I actually think they did a really good job with her. Like Joan Cusack, like from the advertising, I kind of thought she was showing her age a bit with her voice. I was like, okay, I don't know if she's kind of losing her voice a bit. I don't know how this is going to work in the movie, but yeah, I stopped noticing that really quick because I was just noticing how she did a really good job here. Like all she has a ton of emotional moments in this, and pretty much all of them really work. Joan, not only because the emotions in the scene are so good, but Joan Cusack's really, this is probably the best performance she's given in any of these movies in here easily. And like the side characters she encounters are a lot of fun. Like I thought I first heard Conan O'Brien was gonna voice like a potty training toy. I was like, are we really doing this, Pixar? Really? But no, he was so funny in this. He was easily one of my favorite parts of the movie. Like I love how there's like a running gag where like all these toys and things that run on batteries, whenever they're on low battery, they basically act like they're drunk, and it was really funny whenever it happened. And like there are these other toys, like kind of electronic toys that they encounter too, and I think they're all pretty funny. They're all pretty fun. I love how one of them is voiced by Shelby Rivera, who, if you don't know, voices Peridot in Steven Universe. And like whenever the she plays the camera toy, whenever that character talks, all I could think is, "Oh hey, it's Peridot," because she pretty much uses the exact same voice, and it's pretty funny. Yeah, like I said, all the emotional moments in this plot work. I like how so the when the movie starts, it kind of seems like they're spamming a lot of nostalgia moments. Like again, this is not a huge secret because they revealed this earlier that they do have scenes where Jesse either flashes back to um I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking on Emily. Yeah, Emily. Yeah, flashes back to Emily, her first owner that you talked about in Toy Story 2. And at first, it kind of just seemed like nostalgia bait moments, especially because they literally play an instrumental version of When Somebody Loved Me during one of the scenes. I was like, you're really trying hard to make people go, oh, I remember Toy Story 2. But like as her whole thing kept going on, it ended up really working. Like it really ends up leading somewhere. One scene especially, I guess without going into spoilers, involving a tree. That scene, not gonna lie, it almost kind of got me a little. Like that really did tug at the old heartstrings, and like I don't think that scene would have been as effective if they didn't have the scenes like the flashbacks to Emily at the beginning of the movie. I don't think it would have. So I guess in a way, I ended up coming around on those like retrospectively because it's like you do kind of need those for the scenes later in the movie to really hit home. And I just like the I, again, I guess without going into spoilers, Jesse kinda sorta ends up in like this. I guess like in a similar situation to Woody did in Toy Story 3, where like he accidentally gets taken by another kid. Jesse ends up in a similar situation, and I like the kid that she ends up with. She like at first she just kind of seemed like you might think she'd be a little boring, but no, it's like you just look at this kid and she's like just as she's very imaginative, she's very playful. I liked following this kid, and you definitely could feel the connection between her and some of the her old toys. Like one scene where like there is a playtime sequence with this character, and the aftermath is done very well. And I guess now we get to the third plot in the movie, which again I do like. I just admit it is probably the weakest part of the film overall. So while you have these plots with the buzzes and with Jessie and and the new toy she meets, you have this other plot with Buzz and Woody back at Bonnie's house, and Like, yeah, it is technically necessary because, like, this is where most of the screen time for the lily pad character really comes into play. Like, I kind of assumed from the trailers we'd get a lot of interaction with her and Jesse. We surprisingly don't, except for the beginning and the ending, which was kind of surprising, honestly. Not that it, but like there were, I guess, just to speak on her lily pad really quick, I did legit like her. Like, I thought there were some scenes at the beginning that were kind of nailing the hammer on the head a bit in terms of like saying the dangers of tech. Like, Jesse is standing on a rooftop and just sees all these kids like sitting in front of windows, their faces buried in tech. Look, all I could think was, why are all these kids are just sitting in front of windows? They don't even have like their shades drawn or their blinds closed. They're just sitting in front of open windows with this. Okay, sure. but like, yeah, it kind of at first seems like it might go that route, but like they do portray the whole tech thing with more nuance than I initially thought they would. Like, it is kind of funny. It's less about the tech and more about what the tech kind of enables other kids to do, which like, these kids probably already were the like kind of the way they are, but like they became the tech kind of enabled them to become worse. And there were some kind of cringe moments with the tech. Like, at one point, Lilypad like takes something Jesse says and like makes like a dance remix out of it, and I'm like, okay, this is very getting very how do you do fellow kids right here. And there's like a point where some girls share memes with Bonnie, and it almost kind of looks like, I'm not saying these images are AI generated, but they look like they're supposed to, in the movie's universe, be AI generated. Like, the animators were told, make this look as AI generated as possible. I was like, what are we doing here? But like, they do end up making lily pad act they make this again they make the situation a lot more nuanced than you would initially think. I like how, without getting into spoilers, she kind of ends up reminiscent to similar to Anxiety in Inside Out 2, where they're not the villain. They kind of do villainous things, but they're not the villain. And they make it more like she just does the thing she does because she genuinely thinks this is what's best for Bonnie. And again, there's literally a parallel between this character and Jesse later in the movie. And again, I don't think it would have worked if you didn't have the flashbacks at the beginning to Jesse's first owner. It wouldn't have worked as well. So again, those scenes are net flashbacks do end up being necessary to the movie. But the character also manages to be pretty funny, especially with some gags like how she has like kind of a "Hey Siri" like mode where like you say "Hey Lily" and like she kind of freezes and she has to do whatever you tell her to do, which is pretty funny because you can literally tell she's like trying to fight against the characters, trying to get her to do things she doesn't want, but she has to do what they want anyway, which was pretty funny. And there are some moments where like they kind of try and have tech work in a way where it doesn't. I was like, at the in the moment I was kind of thinking, yeah, that's not, I don't think that's how tech works. But like at the same time, this is a universe where we accepted toys can just walk and talk. I don't have like 4 literally showed you can just make a spork a toy and bring it to life. But like, so I'm not exactly upset that that tech was represented a bit inaccurately here. And heck, this is actually, with Bonnie here, this is the most I've cared for any of the humans in the Toy Story movies. Like, even more than Andy, I would say, because like, yeah, you felt a little bad in like one when he loses Buzz and Woody and he feels sad that they're gone. But like here, they make these feel like real kind of like relatable problems people would have, especially kids, especially now with trying to make connections and make friends. And you do feel real bad for her. Like, they do, like she does these little things like constantly kind of holding whatever she's currently attached to either kind of close to her chest or even kind of hiding behind it, whether it be Jessie or Lily Pad. Heck, even like when she kind of starts to grow tired of Lily Pad, she still kind of holds it close when she's nervous because she just thinks this is like what she needs to get kids to like her. She doesn't like it, but she kind of feels she needs it, which, again, they don't even really address that. And I think it just does a good job of saying a lot with a little. The only reason like why this subplot kind of drags a bit is mostly because this is where like Buzz and Woody, I feel like they can get a bit annoying at times, like especially when they're arguing. Like Buzz is like, "Oh, Jessie, she put me in charge of the room. She made me deputy." And Woody's like, "But she called me for help. I'm the deputy." And they argue back and forth about it, which can get a bit annoying. And there's like a whole, like, again, they just keep trying to undermine each other. Like Woody's like, "Buzz, you need to stay here. I'm gonna go follow the car." And Buzz's like, "You don't think I can do it, do you? Well, I'm going." It's just like, okay, this, like, I get that like them arguing is like, they probably are like trying to call back to one where they kept arguing, but like now at this point it gets a bit annoying at points, especially with how often they do it and how childish they really seem, especially when they keep bringing up how old they are. Like they literally keep saying how old Woody is, like calling Woody an old man. And he's acting like a child in multiple points in this. And like they do kind of try and advance Buzz and Jessie's relationship a bit without going into spoilers, but like, and not getting into specifics, but, and like, on the one hand, I am glad they're actually doing something with this. Like, 2, where they literally just had a thing, like basically a boner joke at the end, and 3, where the joke was they were just kind of awkward around each other until Buzz went into Spanish mode and got a lot more confident. And they don't even address it in 4 at all, as far as I can remember. And then now they are at least doing something with it, but at the same time, I am kind of like, this feels a bit fast considering how slow your relationship has gone throughout all these movies. You're all of a sudden jumping to this. Oh, it seems a bit much, but okay, whatever. At least you're doing something. Honestly, the funny thing is, I kind of thought Jessie had better chemistry with a Conan O'Brien toilet toy than she did with Buzz in all these movies. Is the really funny thing. Um, I guess. Oh, one thing. I guess one more thing I'll bring up really quick. Something I forgot to mention is that, like, having just watched Toy Story 4, I do kind of realize, but they actually do a good job throughout the series of bringing up how Bonnie would kind of have trouble. She does kind of have trouble socializing with people. Like, especially, like in 3, she kind of gets nervous when Andy first comes to her house to give her the toys. In 4, when she goes to kindergarten, she doesn't really get along with anybody. She's nervous the whole time. It's only once she builds Forky that she actually starts to feel better about kindergarten. Like, they actually did a good job of planting subtle seeds for the plot of this movie throughout the other movies, which is a pretty cool detail. I don't even know, probably wasn't even intentional, but like they did a good job of building it up anyway. Yeah, and so yeah, like I said, this was actually a really good continuation of this franchise. I'm very happy to say that I really liked this one, and I think most fans of the Toy Story franchise will. I think even if you're one of the people who didn't like 4, like, even though I do think 4 is better, I'd say give this one a shot because I think it might give you more of what you're looking for in a Toy Story movie. And there have been rumors, people saying that they might make one more Toy Story movie, to kind of the same way they gave Andy a trilogy, they might try and give Bonnie a trilogy. I'm gonna say something did not think I would say. I'd be open to that. I would honestly be open to them making one more of these to like round out, make a new trilogy, and like then put the franchise to rest. I was not like I was, and it probably helps that, like, again, without getting too specific, this one doesn't end like the way 3 and 4 did. Is like, this is the end. This one does kind of have a bit of a simpler ending, to where if they did want to keep going, it wouldn't feel like too much of a, we're gonna dig up this dead franchise. Although I will say, if I had a choice, I would rather have I'd rather have a spin-off with all those buzzes than I would than a Toy Story 6. But again, I'm still open to the idea. And I'm gonna give Toy Story 5 an A. And for comparison, I would give 3, 4, and 1 an A plus, and I would give 2 a B plus. So again, just letting you know that even though it's the ranked 4th overall in the franchise, that just you have to remember how much I love the other movies, how much I love 3, 4, and 1. So those are my thoughts on Toy Story 5. If you've seen it, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more reviews like this in the future. And on that note, I will see you next time. Have a great day.